Benny and the Puddle Painter. It had just rained. Not a wild storm, just a soft summer sprinkle that made everything smell fresh and clean. Benny padded through the damp meadow, the ground squishing gently beneath his paws. The clouds were beginning to part, letting shafts of golden evening light fall like sleepy ladders from the sky. That's when he spotted it. A little figure crouched beside a puddle, wearing a rain hat made of a lily pad and boots no bigger than thimbles. They were holding a paintbrush. "Hello," Benny said gently. The figure turned. It was a tiny mouse with spectacles fogged up and a belt full of paint in tiny nutshell pots. "I'm Mimsley, the Puddle Painter," she said proudly. "I paint the puddles after it rains." Benny blinked. "Why?" "So they remember things," she replied, dipping her brush into a swirl of gold. "Each puddle holds a different memory, see?" She swirled the brush across the surface of the water, and suddenly the puddle shimmered. Inside it, a scene played like a dream. A picnic with daisies, a frog in a waistcoat playing the banjo, a bear, just like Benny, dancing in the rain. "That's beautiful," Benny whispered. Mimsley nodded. "Puddles forget fast. I helped them hold on a little longer." They sat side by side, painting puddles, each one capturing a moment, a giggle, a nap, or a cloud shaped like a duck. As the sun began to dip, the puddles slowly faded, their paintings drifting up into the sky like soap bubbles full of stories. Mimsley packed up her paints and gave Benny a wave. "Thanks for helping," she said. "Your memory puddle was my favourite." And with a gentle hop, she disappeared into the grass. Benny looked into the last puddle before it vanished. It showed him, right now, sitting quietly smiling. He smiled back. Then the puddle was gone. The end. Benny and the Snail Who Wrote Poems. Benny was lying on his belly inside a quiet path, tracing little shapes in the dust with his paw, when something caught his eye. A snail. Not just any snail. This one had a tiny pair of glasses balanced on the tip of its shell and a scroll of paper strapped to its back. Benny watched as the snail glided slowly over a smooth, flat stone, leaving behind a glistening trail in a swirly pattern. Then the snail paused, nodded, and mumbled to itself. Needs more sparkle." Benny giggled softly. The snail turned. "Oh, I didn't see you there," it said, adjusting its glasses with a very serious antenna. "I'm Scribble. I write poems." "Poems?" Benny asked. Scribble nodded. "Not with words. With shimmer." He turned back to the stone and kept writing, his trail forming loops and curves like silver cursive. Each line sparkled faintly, and as Benny leaned closer, he didn't just see the words. He felt them. The warmth of a sunny nap, the joy of a berry just before a giggle, the hush of a forest before the first raindrop, all written in shimmer. Scribble paused and looked proud. "This one's called When the Moon Feels Like Butter," Benny lay beside him, eyes wide. "You can feel poems," he whispered. "Oh yes," Scribble said. "The best ones don't need reading, they just settle in." The snail curled gently at the edge of the stone. Benny rested his head on his paws, and as the shimmer poem glowed faintly in the soft light, both of them drifted into a still, wordless kind of peace. No rhymes needed, just shimmer. The end. Benny and the Marshmallow-boat. Benny was floating through the sky on his usual evening cloud, humming a tune that only Teddy knew the words to, when he spotted something bobbing below. A boat. But not a wooden one. This boat was soft and plump, with white pillowy sides and pink swirls along the rim. It looked like someone had built it out of marshmallows and a particularly happy dream. Benny's cloud drifted lower. The boat rocked gently on a sleepy sky lake. A puddle of moonlight caught between two hills of mist. A tiny flag fluttered at its tip. It read, "SS Snoozer, drifting gently since always." Benny giggled and climbed aboard. Inside the boat were 3 little seats made of sponge cake, a steering wheel shaped like a biscuit, and a tiny bell that chimed. Ding dong, like a lullaby in the breeze. A voice piped up from the cabin. "Oh, a passenger. Welcome aboard." Out stepped the captain, a soft round creature with a marshmallow hat, a cocoa mug in one paw, and a blanket cape. "I'm Captain Fudge," he said. "We drift, we don't go fast, we don't go far, we just float well." The boat set off. Benny snuggled into a jelly bean cushion as the marshmallow boat rocked side to side, gliding over the sky lake. The stars above twinkled in rhythm. Fireflies danced in slow spirals. Captain Fudge poured 2 cups of warm moon milk and passed one to Benny. "Here's to soft journeys," he said. Benny smiled. As the boat floated past sleepy clouds and whispered stories from the breeze, Benny's eyelids grew heavy. The marshmallow sides cradled him. The waves hummed. And soon the little SS Snoozer sailed on with 2 gentle snores joining the stars. The end. Benny and the book that read itself. It was just before bedtime when Benny found it. A little clearing in the woods, lit by fireflies and moon-flecked leaves, and right in the centre, a book, resting on a stump like it had always belonged there. It wasn't dusty or old. It had a soft velvet cover the colour of twilight, and stitched into its spine were tiny stars. Curious, Benny stepped closer. The book opened itself. No wind, no hands, just a gentle flutter as the pages turned with the hush of a sigh. Then it began to read aloud. Not in a loud voice, not booming or chirpy. This voice was like a blanket being pulled over your shoulders, like cocoa being stirred. It said, "Once upon a hush, a little bear found a book that remembered dreams. Benny's ears perked. The voice continued. The pages turned slowly, each one glowing with a soft, warm light as it revealed more of the story. A tale about a fox who bottled starlight, a fish that painted rainbows on puddles, a dandelion that could hum lullabies. The book read on, and the pictures began to float off the page, drifting into the air like tiny cloud thoughts. They shimmered and danced around Benny, never too close, never too far. He reached out, and a glowing picture of a fish swam through his fingers, humming gently. The book turned another page, and the little bear knew he was part of the story too. Benny smiled. He lay down in the moss beside the stump, the book still reading softly, pages turning like the breeze was helping. And just before his eyes closed, the voice whispered, "To be continued in your dreams." The book closed itself with a sigh. The clearing held its breath, and Benny slept, wrapped in a story he'd never forget. The end. Benny and the Shell That Sang. The stars were out and the sea was quiet. Benny padded along the moonlit sand, his teddy tucked under one arm, the other swinging gently at his side. The tide whispered in and out like the world was breathing slow and deep. Then he saw it, a shell. Not just any shell, a spiraled one big enough to hold in both paws, glowing faintly with silver swirls and golden specks. Benny picked it up. At first it was still, then it hummed. Not a sound he heard with his eyes, but one he felt deep and soft, like a lullaby hidden in a heartbeat. He held it close, and then the shell began to sing. A soft tune, like it had drifted across oceans and nap times to find him. The notes rose and fell like waves. The melody wrapped around him, warm, familiar, full of memories he didn't even know he had. Falling asleep to rain on the window, a blanket that smelled like home, the sound of someone he loved humming in another room. Benny sat on the shore, the shell in his lap, as the tide shimmered beside him. The stars pulsed gently in time with the song, and the melody slowed. The shell glowed a little brighter, then dimmed, like it had shared its story and was ready to rest. Benny placed it carefully in the sand. It gave one final song. And settled. Benny curled up right there on the beach, the waves whispering, the shell quiet now but still warm. The sea sang on, and Benny slept, rocked by the song of something ancient and kind. The end.